guys ready to continue reading the book? Well, here we go! Yay! So where do we leave? I think it was a third one. Okay, here we go. Dimly, the cave took shape around them. Clay had never been so happy to see anything in his life. Thanks, he said. It seems kind of unfair. You guys can see in the dark. It's the rest of us who actually need glowing scales. Snowy ducked her head in an odd, embarrassed way. Well, they're not meant to help us see, she said. Clay stretched his legs and tail under the water. The gop on his scales was gone, but the sting was still there, battling the freezing numbness caused by the river. Really? He said, trying to take his mind off the pain. Why do you glow? He'd never seen Tsunami stammer over anything. Now he was really curious. Tell, he said, splashing her. You know you're doing that thing you do, she said, where you talk about something ridiculous so you don't have to deal with something serious. I'm not, Clay protested. You're the only one who's ducking the question. All right, fine, she said with a grimace. Glowing in the dark web says it's to attract other sea wings. That's how we choose our partners. Or whatever. She shoved his head under the water again. And he came up sputtering. Now aren't you sorry you asked? He was, a little bit. The idea of Tsunami leaving them for another scene was cool, with cool glowing scales, made Clay feel extra blobby and drab. Oh, by the way, do you like my new cover art for my channel? Tell me if you do. So we can't go up the rocks, he said. What do we do about the waterfall? She wouldn't ask whether his scales still hurt. He just had to tough it out until the pain went away. She grinned. We dived right over it, she said. How high could it be? And how many sharp rocks could there be at the bottom? He countered. I'd like to see what we're jumping off first, please. All right, let's go check it out, she said, releasing him and leaping into the water. The current whooshed her away, and he had to let go of his rock to follow her quickly, for the light of her scales disappeared. Tsunami, he called. There was no way she could hear him over the roaring waterfall. An underwater boulder slammed into his belly, and he inhaled a mouthful of river. Choking on coughing, he paddled over the blurry glow in the distance. Suddenly, the glow vanished, and he was plunged into darkness again. "Tsunami!" he roared. A heartbeat later, Clay felt the air suddenly yawn wide in front of him. Some instinct kicked in, and he lashed out with his talons. One of his claws caught a jagged spur of rock, and he flung his front talons around it just as the rest of him flew out into space. He was dangling over the waterfall. He dug his claws into the rock and hung on for dear life, scrunching his eyes shut even though the darkness was dark enough. His poison-riddled skin screamed with agony as it stretched below his scales. He couldn't bear to think of how far Tsunami might have fallen. He could picture her broken body somewhere far below him. Something whacked his foot. "Watch out, Clay," Snowy's voice teased. "It's really dangerous. You might stub a claw." Clay opened his eyes. The waterfall crashed along beside him, cascading. Do you know how to say this word? Cascading into a foamy pile of bubbles only a short distance below his dangling back claws. Snowy was splashing and somersaulting in the pool, flipping waves at him with her tail. "Hang on tight," she cried. "Whatever you do, don't let go." "Ha, ha, ha," he said. He steered the water below him with his tail, checking for rocks, then let himself drop. The waterfall gently battered his head as he resurfaced. "You knew how short it was," he said accustomedly. "Maybe," she said with a grin. "All right, yes, I just gotten to the edge when I heard you yell and went back for you. Luckily, I'm not the type to suffer and die in silence," Clay said, but he couldn't help thinking what would have happened if I hadn't cried out. What if we had missed each other? "Come on, the river keeps going this way," Tsunami said. Her webbed feet swooped through the water, shooting her out in front of him. He followed her through the pool into another narrow channel with rocky banks on either side, but he cocked his head. His ears twitched. "I think that can't be all the roaring then. Is there more up ahead?" There were weird echoes in these caves. He couldn't tell if he was hearing the roar of the small waterfall. Magnan fled feed, or if there was something else. Snowy suddenly spread her wings and spun to a halt, gazing up at the ceiling. "Did you hear that?" Clay squinted into the darkness. Her luminescent scales didn't catch light very far. Luminous scales didn't cast very far light. He couldn't even see the stalactites that were probably up there. No, it was A bat? Wait. Snowy excitedly slammed the river with her tail, submerging Clay in a tidal wave of water. He came up gasping for air. A bat? Why are we drowning me over a bat? Once a bat had blundered in through the sky hole, it had flapped pathetically around the study cave until Sunny begged Dune to catch it and set it free. Clay was half convinced that Dune had eaten it instead, but at least he'd done it where Sunny couldn't see him, because it must have come from somewhere. She said, "Bats go outside to hunt, so if bats can get in and out, I bet we can too. He must be close. Bats are a lot smarter than we are," Clay pointed out. But Tsunami had already started swimming. He flexed his wings under the water, worried the pain wasn't going away. It felt like tiny, sharp teeth biting him all over under his scales. "Look," Snowy yelled up from ahead. "I can see a light." We're almost at chapter 9, people! Clay bet his wings quickly, trying to catch up. It helped that the current was getting faster again. But then, was the roaring getting louder too? He came around a bend in the river and saw a circle of silvery light in the distance. Excuse me. The dark outline of Tsunami's head was barreling toward it. Clay couldn't believe his eyes. It was moonlight, just like he had seen through the sky hole. There really was a way out, and they had found it. He was speeding along now, barely using his legs to paddle as the river whisked him toward the light. Suddenly, a piercing shriek echoed through the cave, and Tsunami disappeared. "Please be another joke. Please be another joke," Clay prayed. Swimming as fast as he could, the moonlit entrance yawned wide in front of him, and then, abruptly, he shot out into open space. The river plunged out of the cave and straight down a tall, sheer cliff. Clay's wings flew open and he banked, catching the air before he fell. He was flying! I don't know why that's impressive. That is so weird. Don't all dragons just fly when they want to? Okay, here we go. Chapter 9. Clay had flown before short hops around the cave, dodging the stalactites and flapping in circles, but that was nothing compared to this. Everything was so big. The sky was everywhere. It just went on and on and on, like nothing could ever fill it up. It was night, but the light of the 3 moons, dazzling after a lifetime of caves and sputtering torches. Craggy mountain peaks bit into the sky all around him. In the distance, he thought he saw a glimmer of sea. and the stars. He had thought he knew stars from gazing out of the sky hole. He never known how many they were, or how they looked like a silver net cast around the dark. He felt like he could keep flying up and up forever, all the way to the moons. He wondered if any dragon had ever tried to do that. This is what we've been missing all this time. And the sharp lines of pain between his scales couldn't take away his excitement. Alright, we're gonna pause right here.